Kendra Wright from the Seattle Seahawks, and you are watching NorbFam.
What the heck is going on, everybody? This is NorbFam coming at you with another episode of Hawks Real Talk. And we're going to have to really keep it real today because, well, as we all know, Sunday's disastrous game between the Seahawks and the Giants gives us lots to talk about because I don't know what happened on Sunday. There was a lot of, they say good, bad, and the ugly. Normally we talk about some of the good, some of the bad, and then the ugly. I don't remember much good in that game. A lot of bad and a lot of ugly. But we're going to break it down. We're going to get some real analysis and perspectives from the guys in the panel and break down some film with Sky-High Aviation. But let's bring the team in right now and introduce them all to you. We got the full house today. The full house. All right, let's go let's go clockwise from top right around the horn. First, we got Sky-High Aviation all the way from North Dakota. Sky-High Aviation, how you doing, man?
Not too well. This was a really demoralizing loss, and the only thing that could fix it is a early Thursday night game to get my frustrations out and to hopefully get the win.
Yeah, that would definitely. That's one of the advantages of having a Thursday night game. You don't have to wallow in your misery for long because we're playing real quick, and this could make us forget all about Sunday if we can somehow spring some kind of miracle and beat the 49ers finally for the first time in a long time. Bottom right corner, we've got our newest panel member to Hawks Real Talk. We've got Abel Pasley. Abel, looking good, by the way, man. Second appearance, and you're already outdressing the rest of us. How you doing today?
Could be better considering the rough loss, but other than that, I'm doing good and excited for Thursday.
All right, you're looking good. Just watch the swivel chair there, buddy, because we all have this tendency to do this. But let's keep that momentum, or I'm going to get dizzy watching you. Let's bring back Nick LaBow, the bottom left from Bellevue, Washington, a senior in high school, getting ready to head up to college, wherever that might be. Nick, we missed you last time, but we did see your beach appearance in the score predictions, so your spirit was with us. But how are you today?
Yeah, that was a nice little surprise at the end from, Jose up there is always doing something. No, it's great to be back with you guys, of course. Great to be with Abel, who's, outdressing all of us, and such good to see the new generation of Seahawk fans here. Sorry that it takes a bad loss like this to get me back. I mean, I've been pretty busy the last couple of weeks, but you know what? It's always great to talk to you guys.
Well, I know that because my daughter Vanessa is going through the same thing right now. It's college application time. It's kind of pushed to the finish, right? This is the semester. It all kind of wraps up. So I appreciate you making the time to do this. So we got people watching in here. And actually, we have somebody who's Jizz and Trigger. It's Bob in Florida. We're getting hit bad. Oh, man. In the eye of the storm. Just got hit by Hurricane Helene. And now we've got the second storm, which is worse than the first. Possibly one of the biggest storms on record. I hope you hunker down and stay safe, man, because from everything that the news reports are saying, this could be one of the fiercest storms we've ever seen. So I hope you guys stay safe down there. Thanks for tuning in to watch this, a little distraction while that's all going on there. Daniel Berry Sports Highlights, what's going on? Of course, let's see, we've got so yeah, he's shouting out to everybody. Thanks for watching the show. Tyler Parcher, of course, is in the show watching, and he's going to jump in maybe at the very end when we wrap this thing up. And so keep the comments coming. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment on this video as well. So let's just kind of get some early reactions of what happened on Sunday, because it is hard to really figure out. So much went wrong that it's like such a massive scale of a breakdown. So let's just kind of go around the horn and just kind of give your 1 or 2 minute thoughts of what was the matter with the Seahawks on Sunday. How did we blow this game? Sky-High, let's start with you.
Yeah, I think this was the game that truly brought us down to earth. I think people were still somewhat on the high after the Lions loss, and then this game really we seemed to come out really, really flat, and I think we just got outplayed, outcoached, and this is the National Football League, right? You have, no matter how bad a team is, You're playing against the pros, right? So you can't expect nothing. Anything is pretty much possible within this league, right? And obviously we came in with a lot of confidence against a Giants team that just hasn't really looked at all what they were 2.5 years ago, and it's the same with Daniel Jones. And they just came and they had a plan. They had a set plan, right? And they executed that plan perfectly. And that it's going to be evident in the clips that we look at today. But not only did they execute their plan, but we made some considerable mistakes on both offense and defense. And I think we just never really got our feet really wet and into the ground. And we never really got going at all. And then finally, we've seen the script many times before, right? With Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll, you never really get going. You do enough to hang around, and then in the end, you got to try and put on a show to orchestrate the comeback. And obviously, with Russ, 75% of the time it would happen. Another 25%, maybe not. And unfortunately, we're on the other side of that. And it is what it is. But it's a loss that brings us down to earth, but it's also a loss that brings up more concerns than what we would have wanted if we were to actually lose this game. So,
Jake Patterson in the chat. This is kind of an interesting nugget of info. As a Giants fan who observed that game, we have one of the worst rushing defenses in the NFL, and I was astounded that Walker ran it only 5 times. I think we're all astounded at that number. It's shocking, really, and really a crime that we're not utilizing this Ferrari in the backfield and not taking him out of the parking garage. Abel, let's go to you, man. What was your initial reaction? Maybe start this off, like, who do you blame first and foremost as to the reason we struggled so much, and then the rest of your breakdown for how the day went?
I would want to say the coaching, but, if you watch back that game and if you just see it, you'll kind of notice that you can't really just blame it on one thing. They outscored us. We got outcoached, like Sky-High said. I mean, with a running back like Kenneth Walker, it is pretty criminal to only run that ball 5 times, especially versus a Giants team like this. I think, you'll look at it, and I think there was something about explosive plays, and the Giants had like 10 more than us. You go into that game and you're set with our defense, and we're like, well, we get some of our guys back. Not all of them. You don't have Byron Murphy, and we also got injured in that game. But I mean, they didn't even have their weapons. They didn't even have their number 1 running back or number 1 wide receiver, and they just had more explosive plays. And I mean, at the end of the day, they scored more than us. And just a matter of explosive plays and us not really managing our ball time well, I would say.
Yeah. Let's see. Before I go to Nick, there's another comment here. Ghost Rider says, what happened to the Seahawks is called the Lions hangover. All of the teams that have played the Lions this year, they've all gotten blown out for all intents and purposes the next week. It's interesting. For a while there, the Seahawks were that team. There was a stat where the Seahawks, anytime a team played us, like maybe it was on prime time or something, but I remember like the following week that team would lose. So we had that stamp, that mantra for a while as being the team that wrecked another team's record. But I think to compound that, the fact that it was Monday night, so of course we had the shorter week. Again, we have another. It's like kind of sucks that we have 2 back-to-back short weeks. This week shorter than the last, but it's like 2 short weeks in a row. I mean, really, that's, I don't know who scheduled this thing, but you're certainly not doing us any favors because there's that recovery time that all the players need, and we 2 weeks in a row didn't get that when in a stretch where we really could have used it with all the injuries that we're dealing with. Not that it would have gotten them back on the field, but yes, it's interesting that's been the case. So, Nick, let's go to you. Who do you blame the most for this, and what's your assessment?
I think it's an all-around blame. It was a disgusting football game. You look at the loss we had against the Lions, and really what I thought I was going to see was a team bouncing back strong from that, going into practice with that intensity. They were so close against such a good team, and they couldn't pull it out. We had guys returning on the defensive line and in the pass rush game. And what I saw from us was a sloppy team. We got out-coached. We got outplayed. It looked like we had been asleep the entire week. I'm not confident we practiced the whole week. Norb, you said it in terms of kind of having Ken Walker as our Ferrari. Well, we also got a Camaro and Zach Charbonnet, none of which were used. And you look to not even the discussions we had around training camp where Ryan Grubb was saying this is going to be a focal point in our offense is using Kenneth Walker. You don't even have to look at that. You look at the flow of the game. The defense was on the field so much. You had a Giants team you really couldn't stop. You think you would use your running backs to at least control the clock and burn some time off and extend those drives, but we didn't, and that was a huge reason why we lost. Another thing, too, you have an offensive line where right now Geno Smith is only averaging 2.6 seconds to throw. It's about 30th in the league. He was sacked 7 times. You're throwing the ball 40 times with probably one of the worst pass blocking units in the entire league. I mean, it was a disgusting performance. And the defense, too. We'd seen a defense the first 3 weeks where it's like, oh my gosh, look at this. The tackling's awesome. The pass rush is awesome. Our coverage. It just all, the house of cards came, crashing down this game. And yeah, I mean, you really have to build up this week. You have a short week. You got to build up because the 49ers, this is going to be the second toughest team we've played all season. They don't mess around. They're well disciplined. We need to be disciplined too.
Yeah, you hit all those points. And I think if I were to put a primary blame, I would say it starts from the top down. And I really think the entire coaching staff and the players overlooked this game. I think they were so focused on being ready for the Niners that they did kind of look at, the Giants, we'll just show up and we should be able to beat them. It really felt like that's how they came into this game. And I think the Giants were extra prepared. I think they came in embarrassed from last year's performance where they got embarrassed on Monday night. And they wanted to get some personal revenge, because nobody gave them a shot. No critic out there. No Giants fan. I did a collab with a Giants fan, Kid Blue. And even he was like, I don't know how we win this game. I mean, he had no confidence at all. So I'm sure they had something to prove. And when it comes down to that fake field goal, which was Arrows in the comment said, that blocked field goal absolutely crushed me. That was one of the most Seahawks plays I've ever seen. Pain still of the Hawks, but what the heck. That is a play, because my first thought was, it's illegal. You can't jump over the pile. But then obviously now, since all this information has come back to break that whole thing down, those guys, the Giants, they planned that thing. They had this trick. They were going to run that at some point during the game. Coach Dable actually talked about it. And he had a plan to use this secret ace of his sleeve at some point. And he kept asking, should we do it now? Should we do it now? No, let's wait. So they planned it at the perfect time. And they knew the rules. So they did not just like, let's do a fake field goal there or fake field goal block. Let's specifically engineer it this way where we can bend the rules but don't break it. And so they did their homework, worked extra hard knowing that they did that much preparation. No way the Seattle did that kind of preparation level when you see the way everything played out. And I think the fact that they did have Neighbors and Singletary out, I think that added to them putting their guard down. Because I think if it was actually Neighbors playing, I think they would have been like, ooh, we got to be on our A game because Neighbors is really good. So we got to really hunker down in the secondary. It was almost like, oh, Neighbors is out. Well, this will be a walk in the park now. We got a bunch of second stringers and nobodies and old guys in there. So I think it almost was like a disservice to our planning that they did have those guys out because I think they took it easy. I don't know that for a fact, but it feels like that's the mentality they had because they were ill prepared and injury-wise, didn't help either. Losing Woolen, and then Nwosu coming in and going back out. I mean, it definitely didn't improve. So we had a lot of things going against us. But nonetheless, despite all that stuff, we had a chance to win that game. And if I didn't realize it at the stadium, I watched it later, I didn't realize that JSN had that ball, an easy catch on the sideline. He makes that catch on 3rd and 4. We're inside like the 20-yard line. First and 10 in the red zone. I think we win that game just marching down the field with no time remaining. But he didn't make that catch. So, and the DK fumble. I mean, there's so many little things that while we got our butts kicked up and down the field, we had a chance to still pull that thing out and at least send it to overtime, if not win it in regulation. So it's frustrating that they still had their chances but still fell short. So anyway,
well,
we kind of got what we deserved, really.
A second to that, too, is I think you're absolutely on with us overlooking it, and the Giants are also coming off a game where they got kind of they went toe-to-toe with Dallas on that Thursday night game. They couldn't pull it out, and so they're coming in even more prepared, like you said. And, yeah, it was just, again, house of cards came down.
Yeah, and I think they're just better than most people give them credit for. Yeah, they showed that the last 2 weeks, even though they lost to Dallas last week. Ryan Emmerich says, this feels like a must-win game versus San Francisco. It kind of is. If you want to have any hope of winning the division, it's like you got to hit them while they're low. And we've been given this nice little buffer. But if we don't capitalize, if we're going to keep slipping, we might find ourselves at the end of the weekend in third place if things don't go our way on Thursday. So we got that. And then Base Tugboat says we need to run the ball more. Like I said, Sunday night. Monsoon, appropriate name. We haven't beaten the Niners the past 2 seasons. That doesn't matter. It's all about what we got going on right now. And basically, we want to see K9 over 100 yards and 20 carries. Amen to that, brother. So, yeah, we'll get into the 49ers game, but we got to take one painful look back at the Giants game. Sky-High, are you ready for your breakdowns? I can't wait to see what these plays are. There's so many to choose from, but let's see what you got here. Are you ready to do this?
Unfortunately, yes. We're gonna have to take a good look back at things. So, yeah, I've got 8 clips today.
For everybody who's new, what we do after we do our little kind of evaluation, Sky-High handpicks a bunch of plays that we don't know what they are, and he'll do some X's and O's breakdown, and we'll talk a little bit about each play. He's got 8 plays lined up for us. So here we go.
Stand by.
Oh, here we go. There we go. I had to bring it to the stage. There it is.
There you go. Disregard. Stand by. All right. So yeah, I'm going to forewarn you guys before we essentially see these 8 plays. A lot of these are negative. Not many of these are going to be good. They're going to be bad. And so just a forewarning. If you're wondering, oh, well, why isn't this play in there? Well, there's a few good plays, but I mean,
I'm glad you are. It's like when I talked to my daughter Vanessa, whose team and volleyball team is struggling. She always likes to watch her good plays and doesn't like to watch the bad ones. I was like, you watch the bad ones because then you can learn what you're doing wrong. It's great to watch the fun plays, but you got to figure out what's broken so you can fix it. So I'm glad you're breaking it down this way.
Right. So yeah, we talked about the run game, and we talked about how it's a concerning sight, right? Ken Walker only getting 5 carries per game. And, people are complaining about the offensive line and how we can't even block with 5 protectors in. Well, here's a run play, right, where this is a very similar concept to what we talked about last week, where the text concept, essentially, it's just in a different formation where the tight end is going to come across and be the essential lead blocker, while our tackle and our extra blocking tight end, which I believe is Pharaoh Brown, there are going to create the gap. And it's very, very similar to, again, TEX text concept. It's not a pitch this time. It's just going to be a handoff, and Walker's going to follow his lead guys. And obviously, this is on the weak side of the line of scrimmage because we run a spread offense. So our wide receivers are just going to be posted out here, completely out of the play. So we'll go ahead and run this real quick. Smith's going to signal Barner. He comes in motion, right? Similar. If I stop it right here and I pull up the play from last week, it's similar, right? Barner is the lead man. The only thing that's different, right, is we don't have a wide receiver that's out up at the top, essentially cutting back and hitching a block. And this play's just essentially read perfectly. The Giants are lined up perfectly for this play. They're in a base 4-3 defense. The safety crashes down. Our guard blocks the wrong guy, first of all. And Barner doesn't do much either, right? You're not creating much of a natural gap. Ken Walker's great at improvising, and he has such good vision as a running back, which has made him turned him into such an explosive guy, right? And that's why we see these crazy plays where he's running laterally across the field and making defenders miss, doing WWE moves on them, like in Monday Night. So it's part of that, but also you want to get him a natural gap because he's incredibly fast. Once you get him in space, he could be gone. The safety reads it from the beginning. I mean, he sees the man in motion. He immediately crashes down, right? He watched his film from last week, and I believe that's not our guard. That's our tackle whose assignment is likely to block the linebacker. But the safety crashes down, right, and he doesn't recognize it in time. At this point, Walker's screwed because There's not much he can do. The blocking doesn't even allow him to get back to the line of scrimmage. There's zero blocking from those two tight ends. And Pharaoh Brown is supposed to be a guy who you know what? If I'm a Seahawks fan, I don't want to see Pharaoh Brown catching any passes. I'd much rather see him and Barner catch passes. Pharaoh Brown is supposed to be that guy, along with Barner, who can block for running backs. Barner comes from a system in Michigan where they ran the ball better than any college football team in the country, and that's their literal bread and butter. Which is why which led to JJ McCarthy getting drafted, and it's a whole nother story with him. People thinking that he's a first round. He actually has the talent of a 6th rounder, but it's part of that, right? And he's still, and even then, we're still not seeing results from that. You see, he trying to edge it. Brown comes off his block late. Barner doesn't really finish off his block, and it's just that's like the first or second play of the game, by the way.
Yeah, and I think Ryan Grubb seems to get, like, if he doesn't get productivity in the run game, he like abandons it. Like, I guess the run's not working, better throw it. It seems to be his reaction.
It's supposed to work. I mean, how can people get mad when we can't even run the ball with 5 offensive linemen, and then we've got 7 guys blocking, and we can't
if you
even
back it up, it looks like Barner doubles the end, but he doesn't see the safety crash. If he takes the safety, I play it, pause it right here. See now. If he takes the safety, Brown's he's on the wrong shoulder, so I don't know if he's going to be able to do much. But a safety is the one who corrects this play. But if Barner hits the safety coming up, he's got a chance that maybe K9 bounces it outside, or maybe goes skinny between the two. But that safety is ignored. 31 just flies in there, and he's the one who wrecks this play. So somebody missed a tackle here.
To add on to this,
right.
We talked about it last week. The design of the play is right. It's a text concept. It's very similar, if not the same. The design is for Barner to be the lead blocker and to create a one-on-one matchup for Walker with the safety, because that's going to allow him to get more space. Right, the safety more than likely has his feet planted, waiting, or is moving laterally, waiting for the running back to essentially burst through. What the safety does, it's fantastic play from 31.
He did his homework.
Down.
Clearly did his homework here, because he saw this coming.
And crashes down, because if he doesn't crash down, then the gap is actually perfectly placed. Barner goes up, hits his lead guy, and it's a one-on-one, right? And if Walker, when one-on-ones, if he makes one cut or speeds right past you, it's a touchdown. So that's just good preparation from the Giants.
Yeah. All right. I've seen enough of this play. Let's move on to the next one. I think, again, an example of preparation. And that's one of those things, too, that if we run that play, and then that's a perfect example where we do that play action, he fakes the handoff, and that safety crashes, and the secondary crashes, and they fake the handoff, and he rolls bootlegs to the left. You probably got Lockett and DK streaming downfield or doing a crossing route and wide open. So
one-on-one.
But you got to set it up, though. You got to commit to it. You can't give up on it. Anyway, you ready for the next one?
Yeah. Let's set this up. So initially the Giants go a pass look, right? And usually a three wide receiver concept is usually going to mean somebody flat underneath and maybe a sit down route here, right? And the Giants they have a protection concept as well, and this is a similar formation to what we used to see with Shane Waldron when he was in Seattle. But Daniel Jones checks out of this because Seattle has this defended well, right? They've got the 2 high deep safeties. They're going to cover everything back. They're going to essentially be under everything. The routes are going to be under the 45-yard line. So the safeties are going to have this covered. The corners are going to have this covered. And so are the linebackers. You're going to have this covered as well. So what you do is you check out of the play, and we check out of the play, signal it in. Oh, heads on ears, right?
They check to a run, don't they?
They do. They check to a run, right? And so they're listening, right? And automatically right here, right when the wide receiver lines up like that and sets. If you don't notice it, right, this should be a diagnosis, right? And if any defender who has a decent level of understanding of the game should understand when a receiver lines up like that, it's almost automatically going to be a run that they've checked into. There's usually not a fair amount of routes that you're going to run unless it's a reverse or a quick out like that. But even then in that, it's almost always that they're going to check into a run here, right? Now, the second part of this play that goes haywire is the gap reading from our linebackers, which is also in part plagued our run defense. Our linebackers are jumping into the wrong gaps, and gaps are the gaps that are created by the offensive lines of these teams are wide open, and they're essentially leaving our secondary, right, one-on-one with these guys. So we're going to see that evident here. I want you to watch number 0, Jerome, or I want you to watch our 2 linebackers here, Dotson and Baker. Dotson assumes that he's going to cut through this lane, right? And he gives up his contain immediately, right? He gives up his contain from being this outside line, from being these 2 middle linebackers / outside linebackers and the 2 linebacker look / nickel look. And he gives up his contain for that inside run, which immediately opens up this gap.
Huge gap.
And huge gap. I mean, that's easy.
I think he busts out for like 20 yards, doesn't he? Doesn't he get past midfield in this run?
Yep, it's easy pickings for any running back. And obviously, I don't even know what's going on here with Woolen. We'll look at it. We'll look at the other angle in a second because we'll get a better look at the gaps in here. Right? They shift over. They check out of the play. Dotson's diagnosing. He's trying to coordinate. Sets his feet. Dotson's in his correct gap. Baker,
where are you going?
He just gets faked out by the eyes, right? He gets it's plain as day. I mean, Rick Woolen's not to hate on Rick Woolen, but he's like, I mean, the dude's got the longest arms in the team, probably the longest arms in football, and he knows the guy has the ball, and he's just kind of
square dancing with the receiver.
Square dancing with the receiver. I'm also the fastest guy on the team. I'm not gonna dive for that either.
Bad angle.
I mean, you put it right on the head, Nick. I mean,
Jenkins
swim move him, Reek. I mean, when this comes up on film, this looks. I'm more concerned about I'm concerned about this, right? But I'm also concerned about that because that's just poor effort. I mean, what are we looking at here?
It's a combination of like discipline and effort. They're kind of 2 different things, right?
Discipline and effort, right?
If Baker just stays where he's supposed to, they got this played pretty well. It's maybe a 3 or 4 yard gain, but Baker gets caught up in the wash, and it's a wide open thing, and
it almost
get up to him.
Looks like the angle that Jenkins is taking too is kind of banking on Reek making a play, and he's almost coming in as the backup, and then Reek doesn't make the play, and you saw what happened.
I see what you mean, Nick.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. Rick Woolen does not use his physicality to advantage. I think Norb's heard me say it. It's terrible. He's probably one of the most physically, just more, he can dominate any receiver if he wanted to. He's so big and so, fast, and he just chooses not to use it. You'll see him even on coverage. He'll just be 5 yards off the guy when he could press him because look how big he is. But he tries to use his speed, but that can break out for an explosive play. And the same thing kind of happened there.
Yeah, he's fast, long, and tall. But if he's not putting it to good use or the effort's not there, it's kind of just wasted. So, we saw way too much of that. Guy running down the field, not getting touched for 10 yards. That was crazy. All right, what you got?
Well, I got this concept, right?
The pain continue.
Yeah, the pain continue because we talked about offensive linemen, right? Well, I mean, we've got what, 7 blockers again, and we can't even protect. We got a fullback. Fullback is like an extra offensive lineman, right? It's an offensive lineman that has more.
Oh, this is that formation where you had 2 guys to either side, like extra protectors. Didn't help.
Yeah. Spoiler alert. It didn't help because the Giants are showing blitz. Seattle theoretically should have this checked out, right? You've got you've got this checked out. You've got I've got the route tree drawn up. You've got spacing routes. This is a well called play and well designed because somebody's going to get open, especially if the Giants are running it looks like because they have the 2 high safeties, it's a giveaway, a dead giveaway that this is the zone concept, and that somebody is going to eventually break free, possibly. So we'll stop it a few times. Gino snaps the ball. The blitz is coming. These 2 guys' jobs either let me pause it here. Pick him up, chip him, possibly go up for the pass, right? And I told you that they're running a zone concept, right? Somebody is going to get open if Gino has the time. But instead, I pause it right here.
Needs
still
one
up.
more second.
He needs one more second. And even if he doesn't see that,
Yeah, it's got the look at all that grass. Look at all that grass.
JSN is beyond wide open. He's like a touchdown. That's a touchdown if he gets it to him. That safety is in his zone, and he realizes way too late because he crosses his feet with Metcalf. He's got his eyes on Metcalf, and he switches over at the last second, and it gets too late. And Dexter Lawrence, go ahead, Nick.
Dexter Lawrence
Williams just got bullied.
Yeah.
Well, plus Dexter Lawrence cannot be blocked one-on-one. I mean,
no.
Look at him. He's just pushing him back. Man, he's one-on-one, and that's not enough. Our interior O-line is, well, actually the whole O-line, except for Cross maybe.
And
painful.
Gino sees it too. That's the worst part. Gino sees it. I mean, this is the first time I'm seeing this. His eyes are on Smith and Jigba the entire time because he knows what's about to happen.
He knows what's coming.
Yeah.
Right.
And he's preparing himself for it. And instead, he's trying to step up, trying to step out, gets the ankles clipped.
You know the worst thing? You know what really annoys me about this is people are going to blame Gino for that. Gotta get rid of the ball quicker. And everybody thinks it's Gino's fault. You know, that's the general consensus reaction. It drives me crazy.
You know, that's kind of why I tried to kind of get it across that, like, I didn't see it as only one thing. Did the coaching suck? Yeah, but it's also those plays. Like, we've seen this season, the explosive plays have happened. But right there, you know, one more second of protection or Gino gets that, you know, ball off with the protection. You see maybe a touchdown and then just the whole game looks different. Yeah. So even though we only rushed the ball 5 times and that was like, just what are we doing? Stuff like that, yeah, it's just the execution, like Nick said.
Or, you know, or if Williams can just kind of direct him to the right so Gino can step up, then he's got all the time in the world. It's just when there's a guy right in his face, he can't step into the throw. He can't do anything. You know, he's stuck, and that's what happens. So,
and that's the thing too about kind of that grub offense is you look at them last season. Okay, the Huskies went 14-1, and why they did that? They had the best offensive line in college football.
In the country.
Yeah. Grub's offense, the plays, especially passing, they take time to develop. You need the time. Penix had the time all season long. They went 14-0. The one game they didn't was the national championship. Michigan got to them. It looked maybe not as bad, but a lot like that. And there you go. All comes crumbling down.
Yeah, well, 7 sacks on Sunday. It looked a lot like that Michigan game. And so it's a Michael Penix UW designed scheme with a patchwork offensive line instead of the top one in the country. Yeah. That's the problem. Gino would make all those throws. He just needs more time. He's missed. There have been, I want to say 3 or 4 bomb plays that DK was wide open for, and probably some other receivers like JSN would have been here that we don't see on TV that are missed because he just didn't have the time.
And
it's unfortunate.
You look at the build of kind of our offense. You can compare it a bit to UW. You have the pieces there at receiver. You have the running backs. Kind of, there's a bunch of pieces to the puzzle. Well, the big corner piece is the offensive line, and that's what's missing. And so it's like, doesn't work out.
Yeah. Drew Blahnik says, I wonder how good McDonald is at keeping the team together in times like this. Well, this is definitely a good coaching test.
I don't think it's that bad. Those guys, they rally behind him. He's a tough disciplinarian type head coach. I don't think McDonald's ever been compared to a guy. I always like to. I haven't said this on stream, but I've always compared Mike in terms of coaching and personality almost to a similar guy. Like, people are going to get so much flack for this, but Bill Belichick, that's who he reminds me of. Bill Belichick was a defensive genius. That's where he's made his money from. And Mike McDonald as well is a defensive genius because he's pioneered certain and new different types of defenses to make his defense look unique. And they share some personality traits in the same way. Obviously, we hope that he has the success with us as Bill Belichick did with the Patriots. But yeah, I think McDonald is an excellent enough coach, and those guys are right behind him. That you saw they're having fun, and it's something refreshing and different. But yeah, it's tough to be positive when you drop 2 games and you perform poorly. But the number one thing that plagues most guys is you want to get out there and fix it as fast as possible, and that's what we have the opportunity with the early week this week. So I think there's some.
This is definitely his first real challenge, right? You go 3-0, it's kind of easy to go, wow, this coaching thing's working out pretty good. You get 1 loss, okay, we have excuses. 2 losses, now it's like, okay, we got to stop the landslide and turn things around before you start having internal frustrations, and hopefully we can turn it around quicker.
Health is such a big thing too. I mean, we're still pretty banged up, and that doesn't help at all, especially on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, for sure. Well, go ahead, Abel.
I was just going to say, I think I saw that he told the guys that, and he told the press that, like, they had this, he wants the same mindset of when we were 3-0 of how we are 3-2. Like, he wanted to see a lot of more growth and a lot more improvement. But when, when we're halfway down the year and we're halfway down the line, eventually that mindset changes into, like, how are we going to compete versus these competitive teams, and we have this long stretch of games where it's just kind of like death row. So we'll see how we can handle that, but I think his mindset is just to like.
It's weird. I make comparisons to my daughter's volleyball team, totally different situation, but it feels kind of the same flow right now because our girls volleyball team, they played this preseason jamboree and they won it. They won it all and won a championship, took home a medal and a little trophy and everything. And we were all excited about the regular season, won the first game, second game. We're like, oh man, we got hopes here. And then the gauntlet of reality kicked in, and then we've lost 7 straight since. And the mindset right now is really, it's like they're not the same team that started the year. And a lot of it's just because they've just become so downtrodden from losing so much. And that's where the Seahawks are in the precarious position right now where they can still turn it, but it's not going to get any easier. The schedule, as we talked about before, is it's a brutal schedule. And we've got to find our traction real quick and work around these injuries and everything and get all hands on deck. So let's go. Next play.
Next play, I mentioned to Norb in the pregame, essentially, or before we started the show, that the Giants beat us on offense by running the 5 same plays. It was the run, play action, run, and this play. I mean, it pissed me off so much. It pissed, I think, a lot of fans off so much. It pissed Trey Brown off so much that he had to write a Twitter post about it, saying that some days you got bad games, some days you don't. This is very simple. It's 3rd down, right? We're situationally aware.
Oh, God, yeah.
And Seattle, they've got a concept here that again, is meant to draw the strong side of the defense away from where the play is actually meant to go. So you've got seam, you've got a curl, and you've got an out or flat route from the tight end, right? All kind of overlapping each other. And then way on the other side, right, about 20 yards away, you've got a in-breaking slant route, single high safety. Theoretically, this Witherspoon likely, if you put odds on it, likely will blitz. I can't remember if he does or not, but I want to talk more about the corner that's out here, really on his island out here. Seattle corners are the way that we've been playing these routes and wide receivers is we've been protecting the inside. So our guys are essentially taught to sink back and sit back, right? And it has to do a lot with the nickel and the high safety look that we've been playing that has allowed both either the safety or a linebacker to crash down and them to cover the outside. It's a very common scheme that we've been employing since week 1, and we are employing it here. Right? It's not necessarily a man, but it's not necessarily zone either. It's somewhat, you don't want to get beat deep because you're going 1-on-1, right? And I don't think the wide receiver here has a choice route. I think it's a slant all the way. You're just trying to get the first down. And this happened to us at least 3 or 4 times in this game. So I'll take all the scribbling away, and we'll see here, right? Spoon continues to just draw inches closer. No, he slits back into the deep safety look. So either way, that's going to allow Slayton. You see our corner. He's playing man, right? But he twists his hips to the outside, right? Inside, does a 1-2 jab, beats him. He twists his hips to the outside because he doesn't want to get beat deep. And we saw this multiple times with both Trey Brown, where it was a little bit more, what's the word? It was a little bit more glaring with Trey Brown because he'd go way outside. Like, he'd be like, why are you leaving this guy wide open underneath? He's right there. Just go press. Well, that's not what he's supposed to be doing. Our blitz doesn't get home either. Breaks away.
Yeah.
Gets out of bounds. And this was their bread and butter. You get the 2nd down and 4. You get the 3rd down and 4. This was the play they would run. They wouldn't run the ball because they knew we was out.
That running back pickup there, they just executed that beautifully.
Mm-hmm.
Boom.
Perfect. Yeah, boom. That might save the play. Who knows?
Yeah. You can't stress it enough with the execution, especially on these plays. Because if it is 3rd and 4 and you're relying on it, down the stretch in the game, it's just a matter of execution. The play is drawn up.
I was waiting at some point to make for this team to make the adjustment. It only came at the adjustment only came at the end of the game. At that final 3rd down, really, where they got away with OPI.
Nehemiah Pritchett was defending the receiver.
When
that play?
Pritchett was defending, it was Pritchett and Brown that they were picking on this entire time. You set them out here, pretty much on an island. Our corners are taught to defend that inner third, that inner quarter right here. Don't get beat deep, which allows the receiver, oh, hey, you know what? I'll just take the underneath route, right? I'm like nearest guy's 10 yards away. I'll pick enough up for the first down. So yeah, that was their bread and butter.
Yeah. It felt like, like you said, they ran 5 plays to perfection most of the time. And then one of those plays, too, was the Daniel Jones just running quarterback draw. And we couldn't get a hit on him. He was looking like Marshawn Lynch out there, like pushing guys over and breaking tackles. It's like, wait a minute. When did he become Lamar Jackson or,
yeah. The amount of
Patrick Mahomes.
The amount of sacks, too, where we, had 2 hands on him, we're bringing him down, and he gets out. Oh, my, come on, guys.
Dude, yeah,
it's
at a
we
point...
weren't seeing that the first 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. At a certain point, it was just annoying. It's like, I just don't want to watch this anymore.
Yeah, painful. I don't know. The Giants seem to have a history of doing that to us. Like, whenever they look like they're undermanned, the Giants come out swinging, and we're not ready for it. All right, what you got?
All right, it's gonna be a pass play. We'll see what happens. I'm not gonna have him spoil it because if I tell him if I tell him the situation, he'll know, or you guys will also know. So this is a passing concept. It should be a little bit obvious. It's passing concept. Usually it'd be run. Metcalf would be split inside here, but he's never almost there. It's just a protective measure. From the naked look, the Giants almost have this snubbed out, especially if this is going to be a chip and a go. He's going to come out here. It's going to be a fake come out here, and Charbonnet is going to have to block. It's going to be a fake to him, and he's going to block inside there, right? And these guys aren't here to help. So you've got your safety creeping in, and I know I've got chicken scratch everywhere. So now that we've got
you know what's terrible? It's like I have such PTSD of this game. I already know what's going to happen. Just look at the formation, and I'm already getting like, oh god, this play. What the heck was?
You know what? I was fully expecting them. I was fully expecting. You know what? Hey, they got their eyes on this guy. They got a lead blocker here. I was fully expecting them. The Giants. If I was the Giants, I'd fully expect them to be a handoff right here. What I was expecting was Geno to hand the ball and for Charbonnet to go right through there, and because I mean you got one-on-ones across the board here, and DK Metcalf, who let's cross our fingers, hopefully he doesn't hold anybody, as a lead blocker. And instead, we got this trash, and I mean,
I don't know.
It didn't work. We just let a free runner. There was no checking out of this play. It was snapped very late at the last minute. I tell you, every time, if I were running an offense, every single time we were in a fourth down situation going for it, the decision needs to be made, first of all, the down before. Situation's made the down before. The play is told immediately after that play ends. You go up to the line on 4th and 1, and you snap it as quickly as possible. You do not take your time. You do not allow that defense to get set. You do not allow them to get comfortable, to dig into the ground, to essentially gather their bearings from the previous play. You go up and you snap it as quickly as possible. And we did that in week 2 in a sense, but this didn't work. I was expecting them to hand the ball off to Charbonnet, because if they did, it actually would have worked. And instead, Charbonnet's like, oh, fake, I got to block this guy. No, Brian Burns just comes right off the edge. He didn't actually come off the edge. He just goes right past everybody. And for some odd reason, they thought he was going to, stick it back in pass coverage, which this is inexplicable, especially inside your own territory. Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, I mean, and you look at kind of the defensive formation, the Giants really did nothing special. It was I have no words on it. I mean,
Burns makes a move. I mean, even Burns is shocked. I mean, look at this. Watch 0. I mean, for folks who need to see right here. Watch it. Watch when the ball is snapped where he goes first. His natural thought is to initially go up and make contact with the guy. Instead, he's just like, you know what, never mind, screw it. I'll just go straight forward. Yeah.
Just jailbreak.
Yeah, jailbreak. Perfect. Hit it right on the head. I don't understand.
Maybe if who goes out? Who goes out? Is that K9 who goes out?
Yeah.
In the flat. If K9 hits Burns, maybe he's got a second to hit DK in the crosser. Maybe that's an option right there.
It's not going to work, Norb. Safety is either meeting him right at the right time to knock that ball out of DK's hands, or it's either a catch. But
I mean, there was a microsecond window where if he had a minute, he might have been able to. He was open for enough time that he could have gotten the first. But it's a very small minute. But it was an epic failure. It made no sense.
I can't remember the rule. I can't remember the rule, but I can't. If K9 was going to go up for a pass, I can't remember if he had hit him. It may, and then K9 caught the ball, got the first down. It may have been Pat.
Offensive, kind of like what happened to Lockett in the Detroit game.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
It's I don't know what the chipping rules are for behind the line of scrimmage and then getting it past. Getting a catch. So I really don't know what Ryan Grubb was grubbing up here, because it was just it was a complete and utter disaster. It didn't work whatsoever. I mean, Geno got out. Oh shit! I gotta get down. Nope. Yeah, it just didn't even work. Before anybody could turn their back, it was over. And that at that point, I was like, oh my gosh, it's gonna be one of those games today.
Yeah, that's what I was. Yeah, that's what I was about to say. You just know it's not your day when you have that.
Well, and that was the play that came right after Geno breaking through and sliding a yard short of the sticks. I remember watching it at the time of the game. I was like, oh no, why'd you slide so early? Then rewatching it, it's like, yeah, the defenders were converging, and the last thing you want to do is have him pull a Tua and get knocked out with a concussion because he didn't protect himself. This is kind of like that double-edged sword, but man, next extra yard. I think if he just dove for it, he would have been fine.
Yeah, you also have to consider too. I mean, they have an idea of where the first down is. Us sitting up top,
I know we have the yellow line.
On TV, you have the yellow line. On them, it's you have your vision, you have your eyesight, but even kind of in the middle of the field where he was, it's kind of hard to make that quick look over to the, see where the stick is and gauge it. And I mean,
Yeah, I know. It's so easy when we're watching it for the comfort of our living room or whatever, and you see all the little stuff. It's like, oh, there it is. How can you not see that yellow line across the field? Well,
yeah,
they're trying to not get killed out
the
there.
yellow line on the field.
Yeah. But yeah, you see two guys bearing down on you. Yeah, I might slide too. And no one thinking, Tua, concussion, maybe not worth it. So it's just frustrating that was the end result. It's like, okay, if that doesn't happen, this doesn't happen. And there's so many of those types of plays where if this doesn't happen, that doesn't happen. But
it's just,
it happened.
In that play, it was just like blocking's not there. There's such a big gap that it's just like you might as well just take a knee. It's so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd save yards taking a knee.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one less hit on Geno too.
Yeah.
All right. What you got?
Yeah, let's pull this up here. So this is a third down and another third down. Split seams here, right? The read the entire way for Daniel Jones is his quarterback. And Seattle, I mean, this is the game. I'm going to be honest. This is the game. Seattle has, it's either a run or pass, right? You got to sell out. So it's man across the board, and everybody else essentially we go zero blitz, essentially, right? That's what they call it. Party. Dotson is delayed blitz, but also acts as the spy in the event that the running back comes out. And I mean, this is the one play where it looks like we made an adjustment, right? Everybody sets it up. There goes everybody. Throw it. Pass breakup. Incomplete. Mm-hmm. Seahawks get the ball back. Really good play from Pritchett, who I think we reviewed film on him after the draft. Seattle gets home on their blitz as well. Jaron Reed. So if Jones holds on to that ball a little longer, it's a sack, which I don't think helps Seattle. But if we were talking about the outcomes of the game, so an incomplete was good, right? But the refs also, maybe he catches it. If he did catch it, I would have been even more upset because Devon Witherspoon he's practically getting pushed down the field, and he sells it, way past 1 yard. And I mean, I wish I could zoom in, but people are throwing their hands in the air. What the hell, man? That's PI. I remember seeing a cut of Brian Dable on the sideline. He had the headset off. He was furious. I'm like, dude, your wide receiver just committed the most obvious offensive pass interference that I've ever seen. He's literally get high knees to him. Look at him, high knees. He's pushing him down. That is a flag. That is offensive pass. And then he has the wherewithal to be like, where's the flag? What the heck, man? I'm the one who didn't just commit OPI and illegal contact. So great play from Pritchett. I thought he did a decent enough job stepping up. He's obviously going to have a bigger role with Tariq Woolen possibly being out this week. So great play from Pritchett. I was impressed. Finally, we adapt and are able to stop a slant route on third down.
Yep. It gave us a chance. We had Catapults still alive. Unfortunately, we know how it all ended. Oh, no. I wonder if we're going to see that play in the breakdown. I wonder. Are we on to the next play here? Sky-High?
Yeah, we're on to the next play. We'll go ahead and pre-diagnose. Giants, the deep high 2 safety, looks almost like Tampa 2. So they're playing zone. This is essentially a you go. No, we don't want the big oval. You go here. You sit down here, and I think you go out there, and you go way up here. Take the 2 safeties with you, and that should be the target theoretically. That should be your read. I'm probably missing Fant's route. Yeah. So everybody plays sit down. Geno under pressure. He had been all day. 4-man rush, obviously. Had to get to him. But you stop it right here, right? And I mean, green grass, right? And we talk about savvy veteran plays. He's only a second-year wide receiver, but he sees him run. He initially holds back. He notices the defenders are still looking backwards. And then instead, he's like, you know what? Never mind. Actually, theoretically thinking about it, right? Had Gino probably stopped and set his feet, we'll go ahead and start it again. This is the second time this week. Jason's open. He's open.
Right there.
He's
the
open.
Safety's way off.
Way off him. He's open there, but instead he does not. He knows he's not going to get the ball. He puts the hand up in the air. The safety, this safety here is the only one that actually sees it, and he's like, you know what? I'll just go mock Jesus and go down the sideline here as fast as possible. Clear out as much space. I want to see what this safety's reaction is.
Oh, wasn't that JSN was pulling a little fake balls coming in play, right?
Yeah.
Just like DK did a few games ago.
Then the safety's like, he points. He's like, no, guys, you're getting faked out by this guy. Turn around.
It's a great move, savvy move.
He took us directly into field goal range, and Seahawks fans got to be feeling on top of the world after that.
Yeah.
Gino
We were
gets out of
going nuts.
bounds. I mean that's stuff that goes untalked about, or that's stuff that's unappreciated enough, or not appreciated enough in the film room, and that's just so impressive from a guy who's second year wide receiver to have such a high IQ play like that, and that's stuff that obviously I think is not talked about in terms of scouting and in terms of or not brought up enough in the mainstream. But football IQ is something that teams heavily look at. You watch Hard Knocks with the Giants, the offseason, or the offseason with the Giants. You saw them picking. They have these meetings with the guys, and they talk about the most crazy things. And so it's a very big part, if not the most important part. You're not going to get anywhere without being somewhat smart at being a smart player.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And that was just a great play, too, by the offensive line for at least playing the revolving door and allowing Gino to be able to get out rather than so much of what we've seen all season, which is just the middle totally caving in, and then you got nowhere to go. Gino's a fast guy, but he hasn't really had the opportunities to improvise a lot through the year. But no, credit to them, credit to Gino, JSN. That was a good play.
Yeah, you kind of see if Gino's the type of quarterback where, you look at his age and kind of everything about him and you're like, oh, this guy, if you looked at him, you wouldn't automatically think of a QB that could improvise and that's fast. But, if you give him protection in those scenarios, we've seen it a few times this year. He can make space for himself and get anywhere from 20 to 30 yards in big scenarios.
Yeah, I think what's really good about him when he has a pocket to work around where the pressure's not just right in his face, he has nowhere to go. He can feel that pressure. He'll step up. He can side move, and he did that all game against Detroit. Here it was just a different type of rush. It was just like the kind where he had nothing. There's nothing he could do. But yeah, if he like that, he had the option. He could, like you said, he could have planted his feet, threw that ball downfield, had a chance. If he could throw a dime, he could have hit JSN probably close to the end zone. Or what he did there, he had the option to kind of run it or throw it. It was kind of open for him. So yeah, I mean, at that point we were feeling pretty good. Our leading rusher was by far just got a good chunk right there. It was like 35 yards or something like that. Put us in a prime position to win this game.
No doubt.
Oh boy, I have a feeling I know what's next if I'm looking at chronological order.
Oh
no! Say it ain't so.
Yeah, it's 47-yard attempt. A little bit of a precursor here. This happened to the Giants last year, and Brian Dable had specifically been putting together a plan to implement it. And if now was the time to do it, yeah. Seattle had all the momentum. They tied it, gone to overtime. Odds are Seattle likely would have won the game. You'd like to hedge your bets on that. But we're not going to get a really good angle looking at this, so we'll just let it play out. Let the hearts break here.
The end zone angle is the one I want to see.
Yeah, we'll have the end zone angle.
Yeah, that's what.
Everybody's running down the sideline. I don't even know who the hell 88 is. I mean, it's at that point I just like, what the heck?
I didn't even watch the play initially happen. If you see my live stream, I actually was sitting down, looking down, not watching the play. I knew I was saying I'll know the result by the sound of the crowd, and that sound was not any sound I was expecting. And
That's
I looked
funny,
up,
Norb. Because
were you doing this? Were you doing the same thing?
a little bit. No, I was whenever because it's so hard from kind of where we sit to gauge like if a field goal's made or not. So I
you can't tell.
behind
you can't
at
tell.
the fans, and so I was focused on them. And then all of a sudden, everyone like throws their hands up, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, it's going through!" And I look back, and he's running down the end zone, and it was the different kind of throwing your hands up. It was the like, "What the heck just happened?" Rather than the.
I knew it was bad
good.
because normally with a field goal, it's like the snap, and then there's this. You hear the kick, and then this crowd goes, "Oh." It's like that, right? But this was like, and I was like, "Oh no." Something went disastrously wrong right away, and I knew it before I even saw it that this was bad. Anyway, but initial thought was this is illegal. But I've learned since that clearly the Giants knew that it wasn't. Let's take a closer look at it.
Do it so much in the 2010s.
Yeah.
I mean, on a few occasions.
Well, they found the loopholes to get around this not being illegal, although I'm still trying to completely understand how they can get away with some of this stuff. But break it down for me, man. Yet again.
Yeah, just give me a second. I'm pulling something up real quick.
No problem. I have to read some comments here. Utterly Random Guy says, still, I find this game very crazy for it to end the way it is. Every fan from different football teams expect the Seahawks to win. I mean, the chances of a field goal block has got to be less than 5% on any given kick. They got the 5% or whatever the odds are that a kick is going to get blocked in any given play. And Ryan Emmerich says, Norv, how confident are you that we will beat the Niners? We're going to get to that in a second when we do our 49ers look ahead and score prediction. But first, we got to deal with this harsh, brutal reality.
Yeah.
You ready for it?
So yeah, first of all, let's take a look here. This is obviously not a spontaneous, I'm going to jump the line, let's see what happens. This is a predetermined play, 100% all the way. I can tell first of all, they've got their best guy. You can't, first of all, to clarify, you can't line up anybody over the long snapper. That's illegal. It's against the rules. They have Dexter Lawrence, their best defensive lineman, and they've got probably one of their taller players from what it looked like on defense. So this is if you're watching from bird's eye view and you wouldn't know any better, or maybe you've paid attention a little more than usual and you weren't looking down, clenching your stomach, may have noticed there's a possibility that this might, there's something here. There's an attempt at a block. This is obviously unusual. You're used to saying usually uniform on even sides for a normal field goal attempt. And the entire goal of this play is to allow, which is legal. It is legal to jump in the A gap, which is here, over the players.
Just can't touch them.
You cannot touch them or use them as leverage, because in the end, then the flag comes out. That's called leverage. Yeah. That's a penalty. It would result in
you can't push off. You can't put your hands on their backs and use it to launch up. You got to be able to jump over. Yeah.
That would be correct for the jumping player. Correct. So we're going to see what happens here, right?
Chancellor.
I'm just going to let it play out, and then I'm going to let it play out, and I'm going to let it play out, and then we're going to come back and look at it.
Pain.
Decked
Myers
Myers too.
Yeah. So, yeah, let's go ahead and look at it really almost frame for frame here is what we're going to want to do. So, again, I told you lined up like that, right? It's now that you look at the film, it looks like it's a block frame by frame. So, 93 and 97 Dexter Lawrence both, right? If 93 and 97 were to try and jump over, that's leverage, right? They've got their hands here, right? What they do is also, regardless, this is also a rule, regardless of the length of the field goal, right, the long snapper has to remain uncovered the entire time. The ideally of the rule is to have the long snapper untouched. That is the ideal expectation of the rule, right? You're not supposed to really touch the long snapper. They're in a position where it's dangerous. If you push them down, you can break their back. You can hurt them. The whole point is injury prevention. You're not really supposed to touch the long snapper. Use them for leverage to try and get space. Well, that's exactly what happens. 93 pushes the long snapper down. Dexter Lawrence pushes Tomlinson, who's even in a lower position, down. And by pushing him down, it allows 19 to jump, right over.
Like, Tomlinson's got his head on the ground. I mean, that's how low he's at.
He's got his head on the ground. And, based on his play this year, he's reaching for cheeseburgers. He deserves that. So
hell, I could have jumped over that and cleared it. Well, maybe exactly. It would be very close.
Yeah.
But
exactly.
I mean, look at that. I mean, that's not that hard. That's maybe 2.5 feet of
distance.
That's
a 3-foot distance, and and if these guys
easy for a guy who's got verticals of like 35 inches.
If these guys are up, it's obvious that he'll kick them. If he hits them, it's leverage, right? If he kicks them, if he accidentally bumps into them, it's leverage. That's a penalty. Now, what people get upset about is, hey, you can't push these guys down. First of all, that's dangerous. You can't. First of all, I disagree, right? You can't push the long snapper down. That's a dangerous play. The guard is a different story. But first of all, if this was the Giants' plan, it's perfectly executed because it allows him to jump over with ease. No need to jump 5 feet high into the air, but this is dangerous and it's illegal. This play should not have happened, right? These guys are looking directly at it. They're looking for it, and I don't want to understand. I didn't understand the NFL's explanation about the illegality of this because if this is legal. What? Oh, hell, let's do it every play. Let's push down the long snapper and the guard every play. Let's do it.
So,
I'll say this.
Let me just throw this out there because my initial reaction was, A, you can't jump over the line. That's illegal. Number 2 was that you're not supposed to touch the long snapper. So then after digesting many regurgitations of why this was legal is, A, you can jump him over the A-gap, as you explained, but that whole long snapper thing, apparently, you can't push them down. You can push them down if it's on his back, but you just can't push him on the head or the neck. I had no idea. And again, that's why I give the Giants a lot of credit because they knew that rule, apparently.
Yeah, apparently they knew that rule, but I mean, well, I'll pull up I have a picture of the NFL's explanation to this as well. And obviously this set Seahawks Twitter ablaze. There's a fury of responses, but I mean, this first of all, this image makes it look like his knee hit his buttocks right there, and which would be leverage theoretically, but
it's just the angle.
This play just doesn't seem, from the legality of it, it's an anomaly, first of all, but it doesn't seem legal, right? I mean, now next week, Mike McDonald should say, okay, Niners go for a field goal. Do it every kick. Send somebody right over, push down their centers because, first of all, again, it's a dangerous play, but there's no legality. I'm going to pull up the explanation. It's right here. This is what the NFL said. NFL officiating rules analyst Walt Anderson confirmed through an NFL spokesperson that the Giants' blocked field goal was legal. On Isaiah Simmons, number 19, jumping over the line, Anderson confirmed through a spokesman that Gene Sterator's explanation on the broadcast was correct, saying that there was no foul because Simmons was on the line of scrimmage and did not use anyone's leverage. We're not arguing that, right? That's completely okay. Right. On the matter of Raheem Nunez-Roches, number 93, pushing down long snapper Chris Stoll, Anderson said via a spokesperson that a pushing down alone is not a foul and that there was no forcible contact to the head of the neck. Neither aspect of the play is reviewable, although it is a scoring play. So let's pull up that picture one more time, and it sure looks like his hand is on his helmet. Let me pull up. If I look up the play here, that's to the upper back. That's very close.
Yeah, the left hand is very close to the neck, but it might be on the back of the top of the shoulder pad, where people usually grab on a horse collar kind of thing. So,
right.
if that's obviously none of us knew this rule Clearly, none of us read this to the letter of the law. My understanding was just that they outlawed the jumping over the line, period, which is why I was sad because, like, oh man, the Cam Chancellor play, the Bobby Wagner play against the Cardinals, we're not going to see that anymore. So clearly, you can do it. You just gotta kind of twist the rule a little bit and have other guys help you out. But it seems to me like if the spirit was them to not let that happen, well, then they should just not let it happen. But it's like the fact that you have these little loopholes makes it to where I don't see why everybody doesn't do it on every play. Everybody should do it on every play.
I think it will. I think this opens Pandora's box here, and we'll probably next NFL meeting see an adjustment to the rules.
Yeah, and then they'll shut it down and say, nope, you can't. It doesn't matter if it's A gap or whatever. You just can't jump over guys. I have a feeling that is what's going to happen. I agree.
So I've got one more image if you want to pull this up. So this applies to the field goal. So it is a foul or defensive holding. If let's look at the rule subsection B. If a punt or during a field goal attempt or try attempt B1, which I guess in this case would be Rooney's Roaches, pulls an offensive player out of the way. So I don't think he necessarily pulled him or moved, but he did move him. He moved him out of the way, right? He didn't pull him, but he moved him. Allowing B2, which B2, where B1 can be considered either Lawrence or Nunez Roaches, but B2 is clearly Isaiah Simmons to shoot the gap, pull and shoot in an attempt to block an apparent kick, except if B1 is advancing towards the kicker, which they're not. They're not.
Just planting them.
They're planting. So based on that rule, it gives me reason to believe that this play is illegal then in that case, if you're to interpret it. But obviously, the NFL said
this feels like one of those situations where, in the spirit of the rule, this is illegal. But because you go, well, he didn't pull him, he pushed him down, so it's a push, not a pull, so it's okay, right? It's like kind of like blocking the back, right? Isn't that sort of like a block in the back? I mean, it's like a push to the back, but because the words don't say push, it's okay. But really, the idea is you're not supposed to have another guy move another guy out of the way to make room for that other guy. That's really what they're trying to say, and it's what they did. But
Dexter Lawrence pulled him down. He grabs the jersey. Dexter Lawrence. I don't know about Nunez Roaches, but Dexter Lawrence has a hand has a hand on the back of his jersey. Look at that.
I just hope it doesn't become like the James Harden double step back, where it happens once, but every other time it's called. Like,
right.
It's just
like that. We do it to win a game, and they call a flag on it. Right. I mean, 49ers game. We're down. It's like 24-24. The Niners are trying to kick a game winner with their new replacement kicker. We do that play. We block it. Lumen goes crazy with a touchdown, and all of a sudden they go illegal holding on the field goal try on the defense.
In that case,
that would drive me nuts.
Total BS if they pulled that 4 days after releasing that statement. I mean, that statement. And I do find it interesting that they release that statement because a lot of the times on these kind of ticky-tacky calls, you don't always see a statement released. They kind of just let the media, the fans kind of complain. Yeah. It's like, well, what are you really going to do? But they were on that statement quick. So
yeah. Well, they knew people were going to be erupting going, hey, it should be illegal, and what about this guy doing that? And you can't touch the long snappers. So they had to go there, cover their butts real fast so they can go, oh, no, it's okay. Look, we didn't screw up.
Well,
it's totally good.
You do that, you release that statement, now it's got to be legal for the rest of the year. I mean, I don't see how you could, do what you're kind of saying, Norb, where they call it. I mean, I could see him doing that, but it would be BS.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see. Does this start a whole flood of new field goal attempts like this? Like everybody starts doing it, and then they'll be like, "Oh, hold on a second, we're gonna have to stop this." But they should. I would like to see that happening because it's great. And I was watching some other field goal, like in the Kansas City game, watching some extra points. I mean, those guys stay low. It's almost impossible not to have a guy push you down because you start off in that position. It's easy for a guy to a defender to go on top and push you down. So,
and I don't know if this rule is still in effect, but this is a rule that, first of all, they obviously were intentionally pushing these guys down.
It was planned for sure.
It's a 15-yard penalty to push the long snapper while his head is down, to make any contact action. It's called illegal touching. You can't do it, and his head's down, and he makes that. If anything, should have been called that's a foul. It's called illegal touching. You can't do that. That's why when I'm talking about the danger aspect of it, Lincoln Tomlinson, maybe it's legal, but that in essence, his head is down. You can't do that. That's illegal. It's illegal. It's right in front of the refs. It should have been a 15-yard penalty. The play should have never counted. So, when you talk about all that debacle, right? Maybe it's brought up in the meetings with the refs, but maybe it's not picked up as much on. But either way, now that I looked at it, I looked it up a second. I had to verify. I was like, you can't touch the long snapper though. While there's I know there's rules for this. We've gotten penalized for it before. I remember. Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, they're supposed to be untouchable.
Exactly.
Untouchable.
It's such a defenseless position. The long snapper is. I mean, it's different from a center where you're just. I mean, it's a long snapper. I mean,
you're looking down. You're looking between your legs. You can't go up. It drives me crazy because I posted about this and I got a lot of Giants fans saying, well, you know what, that first touchdown that you guys got the return on, we scored on that one too, so that kind of evens things out. And then it was totally illegal. Look at the rules. It's like nobody knew these rules.
Yeah.
Unless they must have consulted the officiating office and say, so if we do this and push on this guy and then push on that guy and have a guy jump over, that's all legal, right? 'Cause according to the book, we checked it out. This is just such a degree of scrutiny to know the rules, to know that you could have gotten away with this. Because imagine the opposite. If they get penalized, we get a first down, and we're not knocking on the door. So it's a big risk that they must have really known that everything about this was legal, or they wouldn't have tried it. So
they augmented
give them
the
credit
rules.
for that.
They augmented the rules just a little bit. Now it's I believe it's also 1 second after the play starts. You can make contact with the long snapper.
Okay.
Obviously, this isn't 1 second. He immediately goes.
Yeah. It's a split second.
So.
Yeah.
Well,
and then people say, "Oh yeah, well we killed you guys there. You didn't deserve to be in that position, but we were." We were,
exactly.
and this is the difference between we did. We're in that. Despite all the blunders we had, we were in a position to force overtime, start anew, and I believe we would have won the game if we had done that. So it sucks that to have to be blaming the refs. I hate when people do that, and we are doing it, but
wouldn't it be crazy if they somehow found a way to make the kickoff like the field goals like a kickoff, where they make all these different rules so these don't, these stupid
for safety,
safety, quote unquote.
That's what it was. I pulled up a story from 4 years ago when they said the league, the owners have all agreed to ban jumping over the line for safety reasons. Not an exact quote, but that was it. The spirit of the rule was to not let that play happen.
I mean, they made onside kicks pretty much impossible. So what next? Are you going to be not able to block a field goal, or they have the thing where you have to start 10 yards back and then it's just crazy. I mean,
don't get me wrong. I love this play because we were so good at it.
Yeah.
I wish they wouldn't say let's ban it and then allow this. Just say
totally.
Nope. You guys can do it. It's still a good play. That's fun. Let's keep doing it. And I'd be totally fine. They beat us. They were more athletic. But don't make rules that say we're not going to allow it because of this, and then they allow it by some little technical loophole. Oh, he didn't push on his neck, or oh, he didn't do this. It feels like you're we made the rule up, but we're not going to really enforce it for what it was meant for. We're going to. Feels like a courtroom win here.
Yeah.
Chris Dahl our long snapper got so lucky too, because again you bring it back to safety. I mean, he had just snapped the ball. His head's any further cocked, and you get that pressure on the back, and that's not a good mixture when you have your neck kind of fully down and then another guy pressing you. Yeah, it could have gone.
W says the same thing. Luke Hill still leaves room for injury. So anyway, we can talk ourselves to a blue in the face on this, but it's
not going to change anything.
It's not going to change anything now, but it might change things in the future. It will be interesting to see if this changes things in the future, because I think this raises a lot of questions moving forward. So keep an eye on this and remember this play. This might be the play that changes the future of this type of field goal.
The Pandora's box.
Yeah. All right. So is that it? I assume that's the last play, right?
That actually no. We have the Giants kneeled out. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, we have 2 more sacks. Yeah. There were 2 more Geno sacks, by the way, after that play. In case you're wondering,
we're gonna give the offensive line what they deserve. No, that's it. Yeah, I was absolutely gutted after this.
All right. Well, we're going to go to our score predictions and talk. Well, let's talk about the 49ers game real quick. I mean, we're going long because we talked quite a bit about it as we knew we might. But let's just quickly pivot to the 49ers game because, we're still in first. We could get ourselves a 2-game distance on the Niners if we can get a win on Thursday. But in what realm is this possible? We have not done this in a long time. Let me think how we want to do this. I guess let's do a breakdown and then we'll do our score predictions separately afterwards. So
we'll look at our score predictions from the previous game.
Yeah, we'll review the score predictions. We'll look at the odds and then we'll do our new predictions. So I guess BetUS, yes, powered by BetUS. Thank you for sponsoring this video. Okay, so keys. I guess let's do keys to the game here, starting with Jose. Now, without tipping your score, Jose, your keys to the game. How are we going to get back on the winning track against a team that we have struggled to beat in the last several years?
Well, you know what? There's a sense of optimism around the building in Seattle, around the VMAC. And, I think if this is the year, if there's a year to get back on track against the 49ers, this is the year. Obviously, we have a new head coach. We got a new defensive scheme. I think McDonald has been really looking forward to this game. I think we're going to put a lot of emphasis on preparation, execution, the little things, taking care of the ball. And I think offensively, this was really somewhat of a eye-opening. That last game was somewhat eye-opening for Ryan Grubb, and I think we're going to see. Hopefully, would like to see more Ken Walker, more play action, a little bit more short, conservative passing, possibly help us open up that deep game. Keeping more blockers to give Geno time because this is a vaunted San Francisco 49ers defense, regardless of who calls the plays for them. Nick Bosa, he'll be after Geno Smith, as he is for about half the quarterbacks in the league. And, I think, this is Lumen's going to be fired up. You see, they got the green lights. They're going to have the whole light show this Thursday. It's going to be sick. It's going to be epic. But
throwbacks.
The Niners are also reeling from a sense. They're going to be they're in a place of hurt. They're without McCaffrey. They're not getting production from Deebo Samuel. Brock Purdy is having to put this team on his back. And I think this is the game where we have to make a statement victory, send a message. This has to be the game. We have to rough up Brock Purdy. The Niners are reeling, and this is a chance to really put them down because they had a really demoralizing loss against Arizona. It's going to hurt the morale even worse if we put them down, if we run the ball, if we execute, have the offensive line protection, if we get home on our blitzes, if our linebackers are able to stay disciplined, and if our secondary, which has impressed all year, is able to continue to impress. And the Niners are always going to have something up their sleeve. So we need to come prepared mentally, physically, and we just need to come prepared.
All right. Abel, what are your keys to the game for a Seahawks victory?
I think one of the things to start out with, and I cannot stress this enough, it's something that we struggled with versus the Giants. Limit the explosive plays. We saw it where the Giants, every other play would get a 20-yard run or anything crazy. This is one of the times where they don't have CMC, who has torn us up in the past. They don't have probably their most biggest playmaker in him. And, like Sky said, Deebo hasn't been producing, and Brock Purdy has a lot to take on. So you limit the explosive plays, and you don't let them go, haywire. And, basically just don't let them do what the Lions did to us. You saw the Lions having these big, crazy plays, taking all the momentum. Limit that, and then at least you have that down. Kind of like in the past how we've had the bend, don't break defense. I think Mike McDonald might have that mindset going into the game. Bend, don't break. If you allow a field goal every other drive, But on offense, I think it's protecting Geno and, like we said, execution. The plays that are drawn up for success and that have worked in the past, you just need to execute. Everyone has to do their assignment, right? It's it's if a fullback has to pick up a edge rusher, and then JSN has to run the slant to draw safety. Anything that involves an assignment for a player, they need to execute. And then I guess lastly, I want to see pass rush. I think this whole season, when we've seen us bring the pass rush, we usually see great things happen. It's either a big sack or hit he throws and a turnover. But I think it's the pass rush on it's a few things on defense. It's the pass rush, the turnovers, and limiting explosive plays. And if we get all three of those things done, I see us coming away with a win on Thursday.
Well, we're going to have to get that pass rush, missing two of our best pass rushers in Nwosu and Mafe. That's going to be tough to be missing those guys. All right, Nick, your keys.
Yeah, so everything we did last week, we need to do the complete opposite of. But in all seriousness, this is going to be a really tough game. We have both teams. San Francisco's coming off a brutal loss. Seattle's coming off 2 brutal losses. Both teams are not messing around. It's a rivalry. It's Thursday night football. This is going to be a great game, but we need to be locked in. Offensively, the pass protection has to be better. We need to get the run game involved. We need to use our weapons. Like kind of Jose said, we need to get more quick passing because they're going to come after us. This is, even if they're beaten down, even if their best players maybe aren't doing so good this season, everyone's going to be on their A game just because of how deep and intense this rivalry is. Kyle Shanahan's going to call a perfect game. We're going to need Mike McDonald to do the same thing. And then moving over to defense, I want plays finished. There's no more of this, what we saw last week, where it's, okay, we got 2 hands on Daniel Jones. Oh, no, he slips away. No, we got to get him to the ground. We need to bring pressure. We need to be tight in coverage. And the number one thing, we need to tackle. I mean, we have to play disciplined football. And, God, the last thing, too, penalties. We cannot be giving up penalties. We can't be having those, offsides or false start, rather, where it's, you're looking at a maybe 3rd and 10 turning into a 3rd and 15 or worse. Holding to, we can't have 2nd and 20s. We need to be efficient, and we need to control the clock, keep the defense on the sidelines, let them rest, and we'll win this game.
Wow, you just wrote down everything. You pretty much checked out every box it could possibly have. But you're right. We're going to need it. It's right.
The opposite of everything.
Yeah. And I was like, you stole my thunder. I was going to say the same thing. I felt like, we have to do everything we didn't do last week, which starts with the running game. It doesn't matter if we're struggling early to run. I think you got to get Kenneth Walker Jr. 20 carries. Just even no matter how it looks, do it while you still can. Do it before you're behind when you have to throw. So while you're still in a position of, even score, or maybe hopefully with a lead, try to take advantage of it early, to help set up things later on. Because if you don't run early, you're not going to be able to run later when things get desperate and you're having to throw yourself back into the game. But you pretty much said everything I was going to pick from. But I'd say that's number one, because you can control that. You can't control what the defense does, but you can control what you do, which is, you got to catch the football when it's thrown to you. You've got to not fumble it when you've got the ball in your hands, and you've got to make the tackles when you have the guy in your sights when he's right there. Like you said, wrap him up, take him to the ground. Sometimes we've seen a few of these plays where it's like get the big hit. Happened in Detroit where Witherspoon hit Montgomery, put a big hit on him in the flat, but he doesn't wrap up, so he bounces off and runs for another 50 yards. Little things like that. It's the small details, the execution. And I'd say offensive line protect, but clearly we haven't done that all year, so I'm not expecting them to suddenly become good. So Ryan Grubb's got to know that and know, okay, we know this line's not going to hold up, so we got to figure out a way around that. And that's going to be running the football and do things like, throw screens, stuff that you can use their aggressive tendencies against them. They got to outsmart them, knowing that this is where we're weak at, and that's what the Giants did to us. So we need to turn the tables and do the opposite of what happened last week and use the 49ers' tendencies against them. It's going to be tough, but there are ways we can get it done, and that starts with that. All right, so let's go to, I think what I'll do is I'm going to play the predictions from last week, since we were all so doggone accurate with the outcome of that game, and then we'll go look at the point spread and then do our predictions for the 49ers game. So this is the predictions highlights of how we thought the Giants game was going to go. Check this out. Abel, let's hear your score prediction.
So on Sunday versus the Giants, I believe that the Seahawks will have a convincing 34-14 win over the New York Giants.
I asked Nick what his score prediction would be.
All right.
There's Nick.
31-6 Seahawks. My final score is the Seahawks 28 and the Giants 14.
Those are the bells of Daniel Jones getting put into his grave. We will sack him 12 times in a routing 37-13.
Okay. You get 3 strikes for that one. You get the triple X slammaroo on that one, bro. None of that came true. All right, so let's try to be more accurate this time. Let's go check out BetUS spread right now. This is what they got. San Francisco 49ers coming into Seattle. They're the away team, but they've been given 3.5 points. It basically makes it like a pick'em game. They're taking away the home field advantage. So yeah, it's well, I guess it's more like 6 points in their favor if you swing the home field advantage thing. So clearly, Vegas looking at San Francisco to being the team to beat here. Given 3.5 points, over under is 49. So we're looking at a mid-20s apiece kind of scoring game. So if you guys feel like you know something better than these guys do, like last week, because they were way off, obviously, given the Seahawks 7 last week, they got the Niners by 3.5. What do you guys think? If you guys think you know better than the rest of the world, well, just go to BetUS and use promo code YouTube150, and they'll match your deposit 150% on the first deposit, 125% on the next 2. You can play with house money and see if you can prove them wrong. That's what you got here. So you can pick the Seahawks here. Oh, well, hello there.
Oh,
you gotta log back in. All right. That password is given to the world. Okay. Anyway, so let's go around the horn clockwise. We'll start. No, actually, no. We gotta save Sky-High. Sky-High is always gotta be the last one. So we'll start with Abel, Nick, myself, and the Sky-High with the finish. Abel, we'll start with you. What is your prediction for the Seahawks 49ers game Thursday night?
Okay. There's 1:45 left in the fourth quarter. The Seattle Seahawks are up 24-20, and the 49ers are driving down the field. They get down the field to about the 8 or so yard line. Okay. There's like 22 seconds left. It's 4th and goal. Again, they're down by 4, so a field goal is not going to cut it. Purdy takes a 6-step drop.
Wow.
Okay. We got a slant to Ayuk. You got a slant to Deebo Samuel. And as he's throwing across the middle, it gets picked off by Devin Witherspoon.
Where have I seen this before? Slants and an interception.
Oh, man. At least it's not 24-28.
So that's your final score then.
Seattle Seahawks win 24-20.
24-20. Okay. I like that. That's a nail biter and heart attack inducing scenario, but I like the outcome. All right, 24-20 says Abel. Let's go to Nick. What you got?
Mine is very similar. So here's the situation. Seahawks are up 28-20. Niners drive down the field as time's expiring. They're out of timeouts. We'll give them like 40 seconds left. Boom, touchdown. Okay, so what's it now? It's 28-26. We need a 2-point conversion. Okay, Purdy takes the snap, play action, boom, gets hit hard by none other than Derek Hall, and the game ends. Seattle Seahawks win 28-26 over the Niners, and the crowd goes wild.
28-26, man. I like your guys' scenarios here. All very stressful, all very close, and probably very realistic. All right, so before we go to Sky-High, I'm sure he's got something special cooked up for us. So this is going to be a tough game. They have been for the last few years. One of the best defenses out there. And yeah, we've seen a lot of injuries. They don't have Christian McCaffrey, but that defense is still one of the best. That offense or that defensive line, crazy. Nick Bosa, you got a couple of the best linebackers in the league. That's going to make things tough on us. So here's what I think the last scenario is going to be. Seahawks with the ball late in the fourth quarter, down a field goal. It's 24-21, 49ers up by 3, looking to try to get into field goal range yet again to either tie the ball game or get down the field far enough to maybe have a chance to win it with a touchdown.
Deja vu.
The ball is somewhere. We're still out of field goal range around the 40-yard line. We struggle. There's an incomplete pass early on. Maybe they try to run, and they'd be throwing it here. They throw again, and again it's broken up. It's 3rd down and 7. We got to get to the 50-yard line in order to have some hope of being able to tie this game up. Geno drops back. Pocket collapses. Nick Bosa plows through the interior with a spin move or maybe a little outside in move, knocks Geno to the ground, and we all get deflated and sad that we don't even get a chance to see if they're going to try that fake that field goal block play, and we're stuck there, sadly not even getting a chance to kick the field goal, and we lose 24-21, and we drop to second place in the NFC West.
I like the reverse psychology. The reverse jinx.
I had to try something because it didn't work last time. I came out guns blazing. We're going to kick their butts, and that backfired. So had to go something different this time. Okay. So, Sky-High Aviation. What happens in this Seahawks 49ers game Thursday night?
In the words of one of the OGs, Chuck McGowan, a.k.a. known as 12th Man View, he always hated when the Seahawks would play the 49ers. And I know he's retired from making his amazing videos, but I know he'd want Brock Purdy to get his little baby ass kicked on Thursday. Oh, and there'd be nothing more than to see that kid who looks like he's no older than the age of 15 get slammed onto the ground by Leonard Williams, because that's what he deserves. And every single one of you, you went for, oh my goodness, it's got to be a close, insane game. It's going to be crazy. The Seahawks are going to swoop out of nowhere. And honestly, I think both teams honestly play like. I just had to get the little hawk sound there. I think both teams play terrible in the first half, and in the second half, things really get to pick up. Things really get to pick up. Kyle Shanahan's an Italian. He's an Italian, which means he knows this song. Right? He making the pizza. That's what do you do, right? Well, he's not cooking this game. Nick said he's going to call a perfect game. That's a lie. That's a 100% lie, because he's going to make one fatal mistake. On a fourth quarter drive with less than 4 minutes in the game, the Seahawks have the lead 26-23. And I'll tell you this much. I will tell you this much. Not even Batman can save the 49ers for what's about to happen to them. Not anyone, not no one. Brock Purdy gets his ass pounded into the ground by Leonard Williams. Fumble! Pick the ball up, boys! That's how. He picks the ball up. Seahawks football inside their own territory. We drive, get a field goal, 29-23. Oh, my goodness. There's 58 seconds left. The Seahawks have the ball. It's almost there. We're almost there. Can we just hang on for the last 5 seconds? Can we do it, or will we not? Cue the intense music. Brock Purdy on 4th down and 3. It's dropped by Deebo Samuel. And the Seahawks win 29-23.
Goosebumps. Literal goosebumps.
Wow, that is dramatic. Oh no, what happened to Sky-High?
And he cuts the camera.
You know what sucks about that is because of the way that StreamYard works. When you play music, it's like all like cut off, so we didn't get to hear any of those cool sound effects or music.
No!
It's like cue the dramatic music. It's like silence.
That's funny.
But I'm feeling. I was imagining what it would have sounded like. All right, those are great. I'm the only one who did pick my Seahawks, and someone's going to rip me for that. Rip me a new one for that somewhere in social media. But you guys put in the chat what you think the score is going to be in the comments, and let me know how optimistic you're thinking about all this. But
I mean, y'all got to know who 12 fan view is, right? Like
oh yeah. I've met him. That was back in the old days, and then you got told you can't do it anymore. 12 fan view, for those of you who don't know, this is back in like the early 2010s. He used to shoot the games from his seat, and he would record the games from his point of view, and he'd do a little narration, but just basically record the games. And the Seahawks actually posted them up. I was like, man, you get preferential treatment by the same posting his videos from his seat with a camcorder. Well, it got to a point where the league were like, you can't do that anymore. And so they basically banned him from doing it, and he was very mad about it. And I don't know if he still continued to go to games, but I remember talking to him afterwards. He was very disgruntled because that was kind of his thing. And that was when I started. When he stopped is about when I started. So we kind of crossed over and we had passed baton. And so instead of shooting the field, I shoot my ugly face. Apparently that is worth watching somehow. So that was the difference, because the NFL don't allow that no more. You get cut off if you shoot the field. Even if it's from your own shaky phone, they will shut that down in a heartbeat. That's why when people ask me, show the field.
Yeah.
Can't do it.
Or if you have a little sliver of the field on the end. Yeah, they almost banned you for that.
Yeah, I know. They don't mess around. Even if it's like the worst looking footage that's shaky and you can't even make out any details. Yeah, they don't. They're super protective of that product. Anyway,
only Michigan fans can do that.
Yeah.
And
yes.
coaches.
Yeah. Right. Apparently, as long as you don't put it on YouTube. Well. That's going to be interesting. What's going to be kind of cool about this is that Nick's going to be at the game, Abel's going to be at the game, and I'll be at the game. And our plan is to meet up at halftime right around, because we're all around the same section. I'm at 334, Nick's at 335, and Abel's at 337?
Yeah.
337. So we're all like just within a section of each other almost. So we're going to meet probably around 335, 336, and have a little powwow down in the concourse and talk about how the game's going before returning to the live stream. You'll catch this on my live stream Thursday night if you go to where you're watching this right now, hopefully on YouTube. So we'll see how it goes, man. All these scenarios are interesting. I hope mine doesn't happen, but hopefully 3 out of 4 here, you guys, one of your scenarios plays out. But I think it's going to be tough.
Fox Real halftime talk.
That's right. Yes, right. A live version of Hawks Real Talk from inside Lumen Field. So that's it. Great breakdown, Sky. Love the play selections. You hit the nail on the head. Abel, I love the new set. You went from broom closet to ESPN Sports Desk. I love it. And you didn't even swivel in your seat. You did a great job keeping yourself in check. That was awesome. And then Nick, of course, I'm glad you got to be on the show, and not just a head overlooking a beach.
Yeah, say goodbye to Nick. You won't be back for now 3 weeks. He'll be gone.
We'll take what we can get with Nick, even if it's a head on a beach. We'll take that too.
Cameron Hughes still needs to make his debut.
Yeah, Cameron, we haven't forgotten about you, Cameron. Don't worry.
Oh, yeah. We just respect the fact that you are very busy with what you got going on over at Wazoo. So we'll see what happens in there. So my daughter Vanessa, by the way, she's already she's got guaranteed enrollment at Wazoo if she chooses to take it. So for sure, if nothing else pans out in these other schools she's looking at, she's got it in there. So who knows? We'll see how it goes. Fall back. People at Wazoo like, we mean fall back. Wazoo's great school. You're talking about fall back. Anyway, that's it. Again, these guys have their YouTube channels in the description, so you can look them up and subscribe to their channels as well. But yeah, 2 days from now, in about 48 hours. 48 hours from now, we're going to be in the thick of it. Probably starting to talk about these scenarios. We'll be about entering we'll be close to like end of third, probably early fourth quarter about this time, 48 hours from now, screaming our heads off at Lumen Field right there where you see it. And that picture right there, we're going to be doing it. So hopefully it's a good time, but it's going to be a huge task, but we'll see if they're up to it. That's it. Thanks, guys, for joining the show and for everybody for watching.
Thank you,
Greatly
guys.
appreciate it. Yeah, and we will talk to you on the next edition following this Thursday night game, probably early next week, to talk about this game and the one following that. We won't look ahead any further than Thursday. All right. See y'all later. We're going to kick that intro, but take care and
Go Hawks.
go Hawks. Let's go.
Hawks. Let's go, baby. Let's get this win. Go hard.
See y'all. Goodbye. Good night.
Adios.
Is he here? Where is he? My
he's still
goat,
alive.
Tyler. Where's
Bye-bye.
the no?